Welcome! Hey Kenwood Kids Club, I'm Theo Michaels and today we have got a fantastic live cooking on for you. We thought we'd do something a bit summery, you know, it's getting a bit dark outside, the weather's getting a bit colder, so we thought we'd brighten up your day with something nice, Mediterranean, bit of sunshine. And we've got a great dish, the kids love this one, so we're gonna make two dishes today. The first one we're gonna start with is a hummus. Great hummus, every kid loves hummus. And it couldn't be easier. You've got a handful of ingredients, some chickpeas. We're going to make this a roasted red pepper hummus, which I think is divine. So we've just got some jarred, ready roasted peppers, really simple. We're going to put in a bit of lemon juice, a little bit of garlic, a little pinch of salt, just to get a bit of extra flavour, bring those flavours out. You could obviously put a bit of tahini and stuff in it, which is quite traditional, but I just thought we'd keep it really easy, stuff you can pick up from the local shop, so nothing too strenuous. And in addition to this, once we've made our hummus, we're then going to make these really gorgeous Mediterranean courgette and feta fritters. Now there's no egg in these, there is a bit of feta, so they're not vegan, but it's a great vegetarian dish, they're really summery and they go great with this sort of sultry red pepper hummus. So without further ado, let's crack on and get cooking. So we're going to start using the food processor. And I'm going to be upfront about this. We're going to make the hummus in this, and then we're going to be using it again for some of the fritter ingredients, and I'm not going to bother washing it. It's all going to go in one. It'll be great. So we've got 1 tin of chickpeas. Okay, so we've got, we're using the food processor for this one. It makes life a lot easier with the hummus. So 1 tin of chickpeas, and we've kept some of the juice in there as well. Just pour them straight in. Now we've got some of these lovely red peppers. They're good. They taste great. I could eat them all day. Let's put a few in there. I'm going to do about 3. I think that'll give a lovely colour and sort of sweetness to it. But you're making this at home, so if you want to add more, bung a few more in, no problem. Right, garlic is really good with the hummus. It really brings out flavour, gives it a bit of heat because it's raw. So we're just going to help the garlic. We're going to give it a little light head start in this. So, over garlic, rest the knife on top, palm of your hand, a little crack that just cracks the skin. And then if you cut the stalk end, that garlic peels straight out. Done. And that's it, we want to give this a bit of a head start, so otherwise the garlic might have a tendency to get lumps, and you don't want that. You want it to absorb the flavour. So we're going to crush it. And the simple way to do that is cut the garlic up. Just into chunks. And then we've got a pinch of salt. Now the salt for that is not a flavouring, it's like an abrasion. It's a bit like using a bit of sandpaper in there, which is just going to help crush the garlic. And so with the back of the knife, you're just pushing down, scraping away. And really quickly, this garlic turns into a paste. And look, you know, as a cooking tip here, if you like, you can use garlic in different ways depending how you cut it and slice it. So if you chop garlic up quite finely, you can put that into your spag bowl, for instance, and that will meander through your whole dish. If you wanted to do a dish like gambas pil or something, you know, where the garlic is a bit of a main ingredient, you can cut that in thick slices and saute it so you get a bit of sweetness from it. And the way we're doing this now, where we're crushing the garlic, is so that it totally disintegrates within the dish, within the hummus. So look, within a couple of minutes, less than that, we've got this lovely paste, this garlic paste, straight into our processor. And a little squeeze of lemon to bring it together. We're just going to put a few drops in now, then we're going to taste it and we're going to add more if we need it. So, probably like a teaspoon, and a good pinch of salt. Right, on with the lid. And then just blitz it. Is that like the quickest recipe in the world, isn't it? Okay, so let's take this off. Right, we've got obviously a very sharp blade, so we're going to put that in the sink, out of harm's way, and then let's just pour this out. I mean, look at this, it looks awesome, doesn't it? What kid in their right mind isn't going to love this? I think we should do a taste test. We've got the kids. The kids have been quarantined, they're in isolation upstairs in the bedroom. For no other reason than they'll cause havoc down here. So we might give them a shout later on, see if they can do a little taste test for us on this. Okay, that's our hummus. Have a little taste. That's really good. The lovely sweetness of the red pepper, you get a little bit of heat from the garlic, a little bit more lemon, a little bit more salt, and a little bit of olive oil just helps bring it all together. So let's pour that in there. And then we'll give that a little stir. And honestly, you can pretty much use whatever you want ingredients-wise for this. I mean, I like this. I think the sweetness really works. You know, you could save a handful of chickpeas and throw them in at the end, so you've got a bit of lumps in there. You can throw some fresh herbs in there, or you can literally just treat the chickpeas as like your blank canvas and use it as your muse to put anything else on it that you want. But look, that's done. That's looking great. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, we are back. We are back. Apologies for that, a minor technical error. Okay, so let's move those ingredients out of the way. And that's our base, really simple base. Look, we've got this lovely leftover bit of hummus in here. Let's get rid of this from here. Pop that there. Right, we're not going to bother cleaning this. We're going to use this to grate the courgette and make these lovely fritters. And a little bit of extra flavour won't hurt. And I'm all for making life easy. So let's pop this back on. Now the cool thing is, if you want to make this, the courgette fritters that we're about to do now, and you haven't got a food processor, you can just use a grater. It's no problem, this just speeds things up a bit, basically. So we've got this attachment, which is sort of it's like a grater, basically. Automatic grater, we're going to pop that straight on there. That's done. Put our lid on it. Just test it. Okay. So that's going to be good to go. So let's run through the courgette fritters. This is it. It couldn't be easier, to be honest. And these are great. In Cyprus or Greece, you'd call these golokotheves, which is a massive mouthful. I can't even pronounce it myself half the time. But it's a lovely set of ingredients. So you've got a courgette. Okay, number one, courgette. We've got some toasted pine nuts, just because I think they're nice. They add a bit of crunch to it. We've got a couple tablespoons of flour, and that's just going to help bind this together. We're not using egg, as I said, because I don't want these to be heavy, sort of big things. These are meant to be light and fluffy and beautiful, like feta courgette puffs of air in your gob. So we've got pine nuts, we've got some flour, that's about 100 grams of feta there. We're gonna eyeball it, basically, see how we get on. And then we've got some mint, we've got some parsley, you could use some dill as well. And we're going to blitz all this together, put it in the frying pan, and off we go. So let's get going. So firstly, start courgette. We're just going to top and tail this. You might have a sort of a stalk end, if you like. That's the bit that would have been connected to the plant, dangling like this. So we're just going to trim that bit off. At the sort of very root end, sometimes you've got a little bit of a knobby bit there, which isn't very nice sweet. So just shave that piece off as well, and that's it done. And then this is going to go straight into our food processor. And I said you could just grate this on a box grater, no problem. So turn this on. Not fast, doesn't need it. Push that down a bit. And then put this in, just give it a push. I like it. How good is that? Done. Okay. Turn that off. Right, let's put this over here. So, I mean, look at that. That's cool, isn't it? So this is what you've got now. You've got these lovely sort of shredded bits of courgette, and this melts and becomes really soft and lovely and unctuous. So we're now going to add the rest of our ingredients to it. So we've got our mint and parsley here. So for the parsley, we're going to use the stalks and everything. If you've got dill as well, you can use the stalks. For the mint, the stalk tends to be quite thick. So we're just going to peel off the leaves. And you're basically just pulling the leaves down, which means you're just stripping these hard stalks, which are not that pleasurable to eat. Just straight off. Feeling a little bit festive in the Christmas jumper. This is basically my go-to Christmas jumper for about the last 5 years. This is the only one I really like. Okay, so look, we've got this mint and this parsley. Roll it up into a ball. All right, it's a nice tight ball. And then we're just going to chop that. Okay, so you may be thinking, Theo, why didn't you just use the same attachment and blend the whole thing up? And the reason I didn't do that is because it will annihilate that courgette and it will turn it to mush. And we don't want mush, we want a little bit of texture in there. So we're just chopping this by hand, and again, this is just coarse. If the kids are doing it, getting involved, just get them to rip it. It doesn't matter. It's about having fun. So look, we've got a handful of mint and parsley. It smells phenomenal. We'll put that straight into our container. In fact, let's get that into a bowl, which will make life a lot easier. This way you can sort of see it a bit more as well. Okay, so let's tip out this. Okay. Done. So look, let's give that a stir. We just want to get all that parsley and everything in there, get it to absorb. Okay. Now I want a pinch of salt, a tiny bit of salt. The feta is obviously very salty, so we don't want to overdo it. We've got some toasted pine nuts. Actually, before we do that, one tip, okay? Courgette's got a really high water content, so if you grab a small handful and squeeze that, you can get a load of juice coming out of it. And you want to sort of extract some. So let's just grab a handful at a time. I mean, you can do this in different ways. You can put this into a tea towel and just turn it. To be honest, if I do that, my wife tells me off, and so I'm not going to do that. Let's put them there. We're not having to do a lot, you know. It's not a hard graft, this. We're just giving it a bit of a squeeze, just to get that excess moisture out. There we go. And then I'm just going to pop this back into our bowl and ready to mix. So let's get rid of these bits. Tip in our pine nuts. Let's get rid of them. Let's clear up a little bit around this. It's getting a bit messy, which does my head in. So we're just going to clear up some of this. It's good, clean as you go. About 2 tablespoons of flour. But just again, we're going to eyeball this. So we put half in at first. Give it a mix with your hands. That flour is going to act as a bit of a binding agent. I mean, it already feels sticky now, which is great. Okay, a little bit more. Great. But as I said, it's one of those things, you know, depending what your courgette's like, how old it is, what the water content is like, how you've grated it, it all varies a bit, you know. So that's why I think, especially cooking like this, just run with it, eyeball it, see how you feel. So we're going to add a little bit more. So we're probably adding about 75 grams now of feta. That was quite a large courgette. And it's just, I just love this beautiful flavours, right? It's all green and it's all white and it feels good, and your body says, thank you for feeding me something healthy, and I love that. So let's give hands a quick wash. And let's fry them. So what we're going to do is we can get these on a pan, a hot pan. You see that? You can see that, can't you? Yep. Move this stuff out of the way. Okay, so we've just got a bit of vegetable oil for this one. And we just want to put enough in just to sort of coat the base of the pan. So you're probably looking like 50 ml, like just over 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And let's swirl that around a bit. Right, so the secret of this, right, because we haven't used egg, which is sort of banged on about a bit, is we're going to roll these up, make them into sort of patties, and we're going to drop them into the pan, and you're not going to touch them. Right? Don't move them, don't fiddle with it, don't be tempted to shake it, they'll fall apart. What you want to do is get them in the pan and wait for them to crisp up, and when they start to crisp up, that's going to basically act like a glue. It's like a cement that's holding it together. So then you can flip them over, do the other side, you can have these lovely fritters. So let's start off. You'll probably get about 8 fritters out of this recipe. So you want to grab like, I don't know, what would that be? Like a golf ball. I don't play golf, but about a golf ball size. And we're just going to flatten it slightly. So that's about, what would I say? I'd say that's about ½ inch deep. Okay, so these little fritter looking things like that. And then we're just going to rest these in the pan. And when we put them in, we're going to put them in away from us. That means the nearest edge goes in, and then we can drop them. So if it splashes away from us, and it doesn't splash towards us, like so. Just going to let that do its thing. We're not touching it. Let's get on with a few more of these. So you're pushing them together. That flour, that feta, all of that sort of holds everything together. Okay. So there we go. And I like this a lot. You know, these are really traditional. You can add so many different things to this. You know, a little bit of chili, if you fancy a bit of heat, goes great in these. You can mix in some halloumi as well. I mean, you can make these with anything. Sweet potatoes are great, actually. I was tempted to do a sweet potato one, and I thought, nah, I love a courgette. So let's pop this one in as well. And if they start to fall apart a bit as you put them in, just don't worry. The key thing is don't touch them. And once they start to char and you get a bit of colour on that side, that's going to hold them all together. So next one. Yeah, I quite like the fact that they're all a bit gnarly. They're all a bit different shapes. There's bits sticking out, and all those bits that sticking out go lovely and crisp. Give you extra flavour, and so that's what we're after, basically. Okay, I reckon this is probably them. You can get one more in there, maybe we'll squeeze one more on the edge. Okay. Okay, they are on the go. There is not much to do, so what we are going to do is we're going to make this look a bit pretty and get ready to plate it up, basically. So let's move this stuff out of the way. And so when I say clean, what I basically mean is I just move stuff, move dirty stuff around the room. That's what my method of cleaning is, which I prescribed to from a very young age of hiding stuff under my bed as a kid. My room was a mess. Okay. Right, so let's flip these over. I'm just going to move them away a bit over here so you can sort of see them. I think that's a pretty good spot. So slide that under. Flip them over. Ah, it looks great, doesn't it? I love this. And the next one. Turn the heat on. We'll keep that heat on these. And that's what you want, that lovely golden colour. That's going to give you loads of flavour on it. Oh, it might be a bit early on that one. We were too early on him. So you were premature. We went too early on him. That's what happens. Right, so let's let them cook. And these are going to be done in probably another minute maximum. So let's get this set up. So, get yourself a nice clean plate. The reality is I'm doing this for your benefit. If we were eating these at home right now, which we will do, I'd probably leave this in the bowl, I'd put them on a plate and we'd all just dive in. But let's make it look pretty. If you're doing this for friends coming around, this is a good one to do. So just grab a good spoonful, dollop it on the plate, one side, then just with the back of the spoon, just give it a little bit of that. And all you're doing is making a few lovely curves. Just to make it look a bit prettier. We are going, where's my olive oil on, Avery? We're going to give it a little drizzle of olive oil. These are good to go. So, let's take them off. You need these to cool down a bit before you start mucking about handling them, but let's get them off. You know, you want to drain them on a kitchen towel, ideally. Okay, this guy's not cooked yet. We're going to leave him in a bit longer. That's it. Look, guys, this is it. How good does that look? They look beautiful and fresh. Let's taste some. This is screaming, by the way, for a bit of bread to mop all this stuff up with. Let's taste that hummus again. A delight. Break off some of that. Honestly, they're delicious. Loads of mint, that feta, the courgette, a bit of crunch from the pine nuts. Perfect. Right, I'm going to devour this. I hope you guys have an amazing time. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We've got loads more stuff to do and to come. And I will see you all soon. Bye for now.